Welcome to Raiders on the Record, the podcast featuring Hastings High School athletics. I'm Athletic Director Trent Hansen. My colleague Tim Hanneberg and I work together to bring you the stories of Raider sports. We are thrilled to share conversations with the athletes, coaches, and alumni that represent Raider Nation. Check back weekly and be sure to share this podcast with your friends in the Raiders Network.
Lindsay Williams is a 2002 Raider graduate. During her high school career, she participated in cross country, Nordic skiing, and track and field. In her 10th grade year, she took third in Nordic skiing at the state championship. She followed that up with a state championship during her junior year and a second place finish her senior year. During high school, Lindsay also participated in the junior nationals and the junior world championships. After high school, she attended Northern Michigan University, where she was a U.S. national champion in the sprint and a 2007 5K skate national champion. Finally, Lindsay was a 2006 Olympian, participating in Nordic skiing. Throughout the interview, Lindsay gives great advice on how to make massive improvements through training and demonstrates the jumps one can make in sports with focus and hard work. All right, here we are with Lindsay Williams. Lindsay, let's get a little background information on you, where you grew up, if you're always from Hastings, did you move to Hastings eventually? Are your parents from Hastings? Give us what that snapshot looked like, brothers, sisters, mom, dad, all the good stuff of you growing up.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Hastings, all through elementary school, middle school, high school, went to Hastings. And lived just south of town, so kind of had some woods to play in. And then went to Cooper Elementary and then Hastings Middle School, Hastings High School. I had one younger sister growing up, 3 years behind me, so Sarah Williams. So yeah, that was kind of the quick little version of my growing up and where I did it.
Perfect. Any teachers that really stuck out to you? Last couple of ones we've had a couple people that still have some teachers that were still working in the school district. So any teachers that really stood out to you at Cooper, the middle school, the high school? And like I said, these teachers still might be around here, so maybe they could get a little shout out.
Well, my kindergarten teacher, Miss Burr, her last name is not the same anymore. Now I can't think of it. But yeah, like definitely just starting the school off right with a good teacher in kindergarten, playing with blocks and all that good stuff. And then in high school, having D-Wall as a teacher, that was always fun. Like, yeah, he was also my coach and all that. But just had a bunch of great teachers all through my whole career. Made school fun.
I think fun is one word that we could describe D-Wall with. I think there's a lot of them, but yeah, fun is definitely one of those words. So, like I said, this is mainly a sports podcast, so we do focus around sports a lot. So, growing up, what do you think one of your best or one of your earliest sports memories was?
So I would say, my biggest aha moment, kind of changing in my life moment in sports was my freshman year. I did not make the section team for cross country skiing, and I watched that race sitting in the woods. And I just remember seeing it was Megan Lean. She was on the team and she was winning the race. And I watched her go over those last couple hills, and it just looked so beautiful and powerful and like strong and magnificent. And it was like a dance, but also just like pure muscle at the same time. And I thought that was so beautiful. And that was like the moment I decided, I was like, I want to do this sport big time. I want to do this race next year, and I want to win this race next year. That was like the big moment where I was like, this is what I want to do. Like that. Wow. Sitting in the woods watching a race that I didn't get to do changed my life.
Wow, that's a really cool story. Also growing up then, one of the things we always try to find out about people was the first job they had growing up. So a lot of the people we've had on here, I bring it up all the time now because it's happened so many times, was detasseling corn. So I don't think that was maybe your first job. I don't want to judge, but I don't think it was. But what do you think your first job was growing up here in Hastings?
So my first job growing up, I worked at On Track Bike Shop, and I worked there for like 3 or 4 years. And then when I went to college, I came back in the summertime and worked there for 2 more years once I left for college. And I sold bikes, I put together new bikes, I fixed people's bikes for them. Yeah, and then hung out in the bike shop and got greasy and had fun, had a good time.
Oh, that's cool. All right, last one here to get more background info on you. You could pick 3 of these if you really wanted to, or you could pick 3 of each if you really wanted to. So thinking about some of your favorite things. So what was your favorite movie, your favorite food, your favorite artist, your favorite author, or your favorite time of the year?
Okay. My favorite. Oh, sorry, my dog is barking.
It's okay.
Put him outside the room real quick.
All right.
Right now or growing up, or?
Yeah, it could be right now. Yeah, and any kind of the ones you wanted to. So, like I said, your favorite movie, food, artist, author, or the time of the year.
Sweet. Okay, so I'll start off with my favorite author, and I'm gonna go with my sister. S.J. Tilley is her pen name, and she so she has some romance novels and they're awesome. So that's my favorite author. Probably my favorite movie would be X. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. One of my dogs is named Xander after Xander Cage in X. So not the one that's barking right now, the other one. And then favorite time of the year might be fall.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So as we talked about before, we could start at the beginning, talk about some of the sports you played growing up. And then typically, like I said, I usually stop around 6th grade, usually maybe later on in middle school. That's when people get more serious with sports too. So talk about the sports you played growing up, how you got into them, and which ones you played.
All right. So I did cross country skiing just with my family growing up. We would go out to Cottage Grove Ravine Park and ski around. And then also just in the yard, we would make little ski tracks and go skiing. So that was just kind of a fun pastime, like started from really little, just skiing around the yard. And then I did track. I started with that in middle school and did the sprinting stuff, and I like to go fast. And and then in 8th grade, that's when I joined cross country running. So I was like, I like running, that's more running, let's do that. So so I joined cross country running in 8th grade, and then in 9th grade did that as well. And then that's when I joined the I did the ski team in 8th grade, but all my equipment was just so old and I didn't. So 8th grade I joined the team, but then I ended up I decided I just wanted to ski on my own. And then we had a husky, and I was like, well, I'm going to be a famous musher. So I tried to train my dog for dog sled races, but she wasn't having it. So then I came back to cross country skiing the next year and just gave it another shot with some new equipment.
Yeah. So walk us through high school, starting in 9th grade. You could go through each, if you want to pick a sport and go through all 4 years. If you want to just do it by season, starting in 9th grade, you could go for it too. So talk about all the sports you did throughout high school, maybe year by year, sport by sport, and any major accomplishments that went along with those sports as well.
Okay. So 9th grade, I did cross country and then cross country skiing. So cross country, I did that. Cross country skiing, I gave that another shot with my new equipment. I wasn't planning on doing any races. I was like, well, I just want to do this for fun, just keep in shape for running. And so I skipped most of the races at the beginning of that season. And my friends were talking to me. They're like, you should try the races. They're fun. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of doing this for fun. So I ended up doing a race just in my warm-ups, just looked like a parachute going through the woods. I didn't have a racing suit and did one race. I was like, okay, that was fun. I liked that. And so Wheeler let me use his wife's racing suit, and I did a few more races and was really liking it a lot. And then I did not make the section team, and that's when I had that moment where I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be winning. So by the end of the season, I was totally hooked, totally into it. Yeah. And then I finished that spring with track. Yeah. And then the next season, so my sophomore year, I did not do cross country running because I decided I was going to train for skiing. So that summer I'd signed up for the Brockman Wilson Nordic program. So I got roller skis. I'm like, I'm training in the summertime. I'm doing this ski thing for real. And then so I trained all fall with that program, did roller skiing, did ski specific training. And then that winter, I won that race that I told myself I wanted to win. So yeah, I won that by 4 minutes. So did that and then made it to state. I think I was third that year. Yeah, and so everyone was like, who the heck is this girl? Like, where does she come from? Yeah, and then I just did track in the spring. And then my junior year, still trained for skiing all summer, and then trained for skiing in the fall. And then won state that year, qualified for World Juniors, or not World Juniors, Junior Nationals, and yeah, did all that. Might have won the sprints that year. Yeah, and so yeah, just kind of like really started getting into it big time. And yeah, then did track in the springtime just to do something. And then my senior year, I qualified. So I did the same thing, trained for skiing all summer, trained for skiing in the fall, and qualified for World Juniors. So went over to Germany and yeah, skied against the best in the world and just did all, yeah, it was for real. And then decided I was going to Northern Michigan University to join the ski team there. And I decided I was going to Northern Michigan for ski racing. I went to, and then I didn't have my best race at state, so I got second there. But yeah, I went to junior nationals. I think I won the sprint race that year as well. Yeah, it was, and then finished off my senior year with some track.
That's awesome. So what do you think? You went from your freshman year, just kind of watching the section meet happen, to third place, to a state champ, to a second place at the state tournament. Obviously, you did a lot of skiing throughout the summertime, as you talked about, and throughout the fall. Anything else that went into it to make that huge jump? I know maybe watching that race, you talked about it a few times now, watching that race your freshman year kind of really set in that mentality that you wanted to be good at it. Obviously, all the training as well went into it as well, but to go from not even competing at the section tournament or watching the section tournament take place to being third at the state tournament the next year is a pretty enormous jump. So what else kind of went into that huge jump, do you think?
I'm fucking stubborn. So that had a big thing. And yeah, and once I put my mind to something, I'm gonna do it, and it doesn't matter how hard it is. I'm gonna just go for it, like all in 110%. So yeah, I wasn't afraid to work harder than anyone else. I wasn't afraid to put in the hours, to do the hard things. Yeah, to really do what it takes. It took a lot, and I was willing to do that. So that was a big thing. Yeah, it's mostly just like mentally just going for it all in.
Oh, that's nice. What about your favorite moment throughout high school? I think obviously most people would look at winning a state championship as kind of a highlight of your sports career or maybe a high school career as well. But do you have any favorite moments that you, when you look back at your high school career, that you really kind of look fondly on?
Yeah, definitely winning the state meet was a big one. It was a really cold day, and yeah, just being able to go out there and just hammer and go for it and like do this big thing that I didn't think was possible like 2 years prior. Yeah, it was awesome. And then just like, the teammates having that camaraderie on the bus rides up to Biwabic, and just really making it fun.
So you talk about skiing in Northern Michigan. What kind of how'd you pick Northern Michigan, and what went into that kind of decision?
I picked Northern Michigan because the cross country ski team was what I thought was the best in the nation with American skiers. A lot of ski colleges they just like brought in foreign skiers, and I really respected the fact that Northern Michigan was all like homegrown, just skiers from the U.S. And not just brought over from European countries. Yeah, and also the UP was beautiful. Like I went there for a biathlon training camp, and I tried out. I didn't like the shooting part and all that. So, but yeah, so I'd like spent some time up in the UP, and it was beautiful. I loved the area. And then the Coach Sten, is just a legend, and I really wanted to work with him. So all those factors, and all the lake effect snow, so it was great skiing.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
know we had Tori Crafton on here a long time ago, and he was a big Nordic skier as well. And he went to University of Utah, and he said the same thing about a lot of foreigners coming in and skiing, and that was kind of a big recruiting thing. And it was really hard for him to break into the lineup because of that too, and kind of have success against those guys. So yeah, that's kind of crazy that it's kind of a big culture thing at universities with that sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thinking back then about your college and your high school career, and if you want to pick a couple people, I know this question is really hard. So if you want to pick a couple people, that's a-okay to do. Who's one of the best coaches you think you played for? Someone that really taught you something. These lessons that really, some of those lessons just last a lifetime. So who do you think that best coach was that you played for?
I'm gonna say Sten, and then Jenny Ryan was also the assistant coach, and the team of them was absolutely amazing. Definitely, yeah. I'm so glad I went there. I learned so much from them. Yeah. So Sten's big thing was attitude and effort. Like those are the things you can control. Those are the things that you have. Yeah, you need to control those, and everything else that will happen happens. So yeah, have a great attitude, put forth your best effort, and that's like if you can do that well, then you should be proud. And yeah, and so that was a huge lesson of my life, and something to live by every day from now on. And yeah.
What about a teammate? You talked about watching Megaline ski at the section tournament during your freshman year and kind of really seeing it, kind of maybe solidified that in your mind that you could do that too. And that's kind of seeing was believing. So what about a best teammate? And once again, this is very hard to do. And you could pick someone in high school, you could pick someone in college, you could pick multiple people if you really wanted to. So those teammates that kind of maybe someone that put their arm around you when you needed it, someone that maybe picked you up when you needed it. So who's that best teammate?
So I'll start with Lindsay Weir, now Lindsay DeLynn. She went to Matamidi, and I met her in high school. And then we trained together with the Brockman Wilson Nordic program and the Community Olympic Development program. So we did a lot of training camps together. And then like, yeah, I would go over to her place, and we would roller ski for 3 hours, and then have a sleepover, and then wake up and like roller ski for another 2 hours. So yeah, so growing up or in high school, She was a great teammate slash competitor, for like, we just pushed each other. And it was an awesome thing to have. And then she ended up actually going to Northern Michigan as well. So then in college, she was a great teammate. And in college at Northern Michigan, I have such a great team. Like, it was an amazing family to be with. Maria Stuber was another great teammate to have. She was always positive, always just going for it, pushing everyone, like, just such a great person to be around. Yeah, and I always like looked up. She was always just super positive. No matter what like her results were, it was never about results. Like, she just had the best attitude and was just so great to be around. She always supported everyone. And she was my roommate for a while as well, which was great. Like, it just felt like family, like such a great supportive group of people. And then Morgan Smith too. She was part of it was me, Lindsay, and Morgan in 2007 when we swept the podium at NCAA's both races, which just like such a power team, is just great people to be around. It was super motivating. It just felt really good. And we would push each other like so hard, but it never felt nasty. It felt just like we always were pushing each other to better ourselves and each other. And so, yeah, it was just a great team to be on.
So talk about Northern Michigan as well. Any successes you had individually and then as a team as well. So I think you're kind of mentioning something there, but yeah, I would love to hear about that as well.
Okay. Well, I made the Olympic team in 2006, so that was a big accomplishment there. I won U.S. Nationals in the sprint in 2005, and that was in Utah. So yeah, and that was everyone, the whole U.S. And then 2007, I won the 5-kilometer skate race at NCAA's. And then as a team, you can qualify 3 people to NCAA's. And the 3 people that we qualified swept the podium on both races. So that was a huge deal, a big accomplishment. I think those are the highlights.
Yeah, that's a lot of highlights. I mean, talk about the Olympic team. Where did that take place at, and talk about that journey to the Olympics.
So that was the 2006 Olympics were in Torino, Italy. And so that's to qualify for the Olympics. It's a full year of races and getting points, and so you have to consistently be at the top for an entire year. And a lot of the college races that we did were qualifiers. You raced against people who had points, and like depending on if they had fast people there, like you got better points. So yeah, so it was a full year of just staying at the top in the USSA ranking list and racing fast people and doing well in those races.
All right, awesome. And then talk about being over there in Italy as well. So what was that like being in the Olympics and racing in the Olympics?
It was an amazing experience. It was crazy. It was awesome. It was so much to take in. And and so we were in the Sestriere village, and the year I went, so it wasn't one big village. The one I was in was up in the mountains. So it was 2.5-hour drive up the Alps.
Oh wow.
Oh, I thought you froze again.
No,
Yeah. So then it was a small little mountain village way up there. Yeah, it was beautiful.
What was one of your favorite things from the Olympics? Maybe like one of the biggest takeaways you had from competing in those.
Just like the excitement and all the experiences that I had, like just getting to that first race. No one could speak Italian, and so we almost missed the race because we were stuck in the village and what was supposed to bring us down was waiting at a different gate. And so we got a ride from a cop and they just like brought us in and we got to bypass security and yeah, just run into the race, just adrenaline pumping, like I'm gonna miss my Olympic race. And yeah, and just watching the other races, the ones that I wasn't in. And yeah, just the feeling of accomplishment was big one for sure.
For sure. So you take second state your senior year of high school, and then a handful of years later, you're competing in the Olympics. And once again, you made this giant jump when you're in high school, and now you kind of make the same kind of leap a couple years later. So what do you think, once again, went into that kind of big jump from high school all the way to college, and then eventually getting your way to the Olympics?
I think working hard, like doing the training, like yeah, being smart about training, and yeah, just getting after it all the time and just having that mindset of going for it and not taking no, like yeah, just really pushing your limits and not being afraid to push past them. And yeah, and then just being smart about it too, like not just not just overtraining and just going too hard every day. So listening to the coaches and doing the right training the right way. But yeah, big thing is just working hard.
The Olympics happened in 2006. That's about 15 years ago. Take us through the last 15 years. What are you occupation, current family, anything of that nature, and kind of what you've been doing for the last 15 years or so?
Oh boy. So then after the 2006 Olympics, then I was going for the 2010 Olympics. And then, so after 2007, I was done on the ski team, Northern Michigan ski team. So then I was just on the US ski team. So I think like I lost, like I wasn't part of the Northern Michigan ski team. And then just going on to the US ski team was a really hard transition for me. All I had was skiing then. I didn't really have that support system like I did on the college team. And so, yeah, it got hard real fast for me, like pretty mentally. And then I was starting to have problems with my legs. I ended up getting popliteal artery entrapment syndrome. So I had surgery on that for 3 years in a row. Yeah, and so just I wasn't having the same amount of joy as I was before in ski racing, just being more on my own and having it be the only thing going on in my life. And so long story short, my results started going down, and I did not make the 2010 team, and it was pretty devastating. And I studied sports science in college, but when I didn't make that team, I just needed to take a different path in my life, needed to take a physical, mental, emotional break. So I changed my plane ticket from Alaska to Minnesota, instead of Utah, where I had been living out of my car, out of people's basements for the last year, because that's where the US ski team was based out of. And then came home, I had surgery on my legs and a surgery on my thumb because my thumb was broken as well, and tried to figure out what I was going to do with my life. So I decided to go to culinary school. So I went to culinary school that fall at the AI, the Art Institutes in downtown Minneapolis. Found a really crappy apartment that I could afford. And so then I lived in the crappy apartment for while I was in culinary school. And then once I graduated culinary school, I worked at the Bachelor Farmer as a line cook. Then went to Restaurant Alma as a line cook, and then went for 2.5 years. And then the pandemic hit, I was a sous chef for about 2 years, and the pandemic hit. But like before that hit, I was starting to feel like my heart was actually back in the fitness world and all that. Yeah, so I my heart was wanted to go back in the fitness world, but I had I was like just going down the path, that chef path. I was going to help open up Suki and Mimi. I had committed to that, so I didn't really know how I was gonna want to be in my life. I want to be in the health and fitness industry. So I during the lockdown, I was still working at Young Joni, but I was doing the online, getting my personal training certification, and got a sports nutrition certification. Still had no clue what I was going to do with it, but at least I was taking steps. And then I was just like, looking through the internet, seeing what was out there for the health and fitness gym world, like who was hiring in the middle of a pandemic. And most nights I came back with nothing. But then one night I stumbled upon this gym called Embrace North that was opening up. So this was this was 1 year ago in October. And they were having some free classes. Like, we're gonna open up this gym, you should come try it out, we got free classes. So I did a free class, did a sauna and a cold tub, and did that. And I met the owner, and I was like, hey, are you hiring? And he said we should talk. So I met with him like 2 days later, and he's like, we're a brand new gym opening up in the middle of a pandemic. We don't have money. We can't really pay you, but if you want to hang out, like, we'd love to like help you get into this world. And if you can help us out, that'd be awesome. So I was like, all right, I'm here. So I started volunteering there pretty much all of my spare time. And yeah, then in March of this year, I was able to quit my job and then start there full time. So Luis said, hey, I think we can kind of pay you a little bit. So said, all right, I'm 100% in right now. I am going to quit my job and do this full bore. So yeah, so now I'm the head trainer coach at Embrace North in Linden Hills, and I help people get stronger and happier and fitter, and just feel empowered, and I freaking love it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The last couple of questions then for you, Lindsay. I've taken up a lot of your time, so like I said, the last couple ones here. So you did a lot of sports throughout high school. You were a college athlete as well, Olympian as well. If you could give coaches or parents 2 pieces of advice from your experiences, what do you think they would be and why?
I'd say definitely like make sure that the athlete is a person first and an athlete second. Like, yeah, I think it's very like mental health. It's kind of coming out now. I think that's a very strong and important part that is becoming more aware right now, I guess. But yeah, I feel like if the person's not happy in what they're doing, it's not worth it. Yeah, so I mean, that's my biggest piece is definitely make it fun, make it enjoyable, make sure that it's not just about results.
Sure. Now, kind of same question for student athletes. So these are the kids that are in high school right now. Someone that maybe was like you, watching a section meet and seeing their friends and their teammates compete at a high level, and maybe not having that same kind of result at that time too. So what would you give these student athletes if you could give them 2 pieces of advice from your experiences?
Attitude and effort. Those are the things you can control. Everything else you cannot control. I think that's a great piece of advice for anyone in any situation, especially sports. Results aren't everything. And yeah, you can't win all the time, but if you can have a great attitude all the time. And I think that's super important. Yeah. And always like have fun, like do it because you love it. And if you're not having fun, like figure out why.
That's perfect. So that's all I got for you today, Lindsay. The last couple of minutes here are all for you. If you have anything else you would like to talk about, anything I didn't ask you, like I said, the mic is yours and you can go for it.
I can't really think of anything. I feel like we covered a lot of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.